Hey everyone, it's Desiree and I am here with Spellbinders and we are going to create our 10 cards from the card kit of the month for March. And this one's theme is to celebrate spring. And yes, I need it to come now. I'm done with winter. It's beautiful. It's lovely. I'm done. I'm over it. It's too cold. So let's first, as always, look at what we get, or what you will get inside your kit. As always, you get your card for inspiration, and it also lets you know exactly what's in your kit that you should be receiving. Your cardstock is gray, a bright pink, a light pink, a white, a mint green, a light blue, purple, a gold piece of mirror cardstock, and a wonderfully bright yellow. You will also get your double-sided tape, your double-sided foam square, and that entire square can be used. You will get your 10 envelopes and your 10 card bases. And again, these are the standard A2 size, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And they are, if you're making a portrait, a side folding card. You get a 6x6 paper pad. And again, this is a paper pad. All right, so this is not cardstock. I would say this is about 60-pound weight. Could be a little lighter, but this is perfect. I love this paper pad for layering. And that's what we can do. I find that when it comes to the Spellbinders card kit, I get drawn into collaging. I get drawn into layering. And that is one of the things that I do truly enjoy when it comes to paper crafting, is the ability to layer. Okay, so let's get caught up. We've got some wonderful gems in beautiful colors, those beautiful butterflies that are 3D and they will wiggle and everything else because it's like a vellum that they are printed on. And then of course we have our 3D stickers, that adorable stamp set with all of those little critters, and then your die so we can create flowers. We've got that cute little bunny, and some of these dies actually match up to the sentiments from the stamp set, which is awesome. So if you wanted to stamp your sentiment on something else and build it up, you can certainly do that. All right, so let's get started with card number 1. So to save time, I do have my panels already cut. I should have put my sticker tape on there, but of course I did not. But I have my card base there. We're going to layer one of the pieces. I just cut a strip. I do not like to measure, and I know a lot of people ask, what's the measurement? I just go with it. I just eyeball it. So it looks like that strip is cut to be 1.5 inches, and I can say that the panels for the front of my card bases are either cut 4 1/4 to 5 1/2 to cut the entire front, or they're cut to 4 by 5 1/4 to have a little bit of a white border. So that's usually the consensus. I love digging into the die cuts that come into this kit. And here, as always, did that once again. So I pulled out all of the clovers and the window, and I'm just placing them around. And I had to grab the little bunnies because these faces and characters are just absolutely adorable. So I'm going to use the foam, double-sided foam squares for the 1 4-leaf clover and have that coming off the corner. And then just have, I was looking at having both bunnies be on there, but I did decide just on the one that was holding the 4-leaf clover. Either bunny would be fine. And I do use my liquid adhesive, but kind of put him right in front of the window. I do like to use my double-sided tape when I put down my panels instead of my liquid adhesive. You know, again, there's just certain things, I think it's just habit, but I believe there's just certain things that we develop as habits, and that's just one of them. I usually get that question, why don't you stick with the liquid glue or anything like that? It's just something that I've always done. So I'm adding some of those gems to the center of the clovers just to give them some sparkle. For the next one, of course, we're going to be doing some collaging, and I cut down that beautiful peach wood panel, and then I have this bold It looks vintage because of the colors. The colors are not bright. They're bright, but they're muted in a sense. So I have that panel going down the center, and we're going to collage our pieces right up the center of that panel, which will help make them stand out. I'm going to place that down on the card base that comes included with the kit. And then once that's in place, we will have some fun. So what I love too about some of the die cuts is their layers. So you can separate them, even though it's flat, you can separate them and create layers as you're continuing through. And that's what I'm doing with this frame and with the butterfly to help that stand out just a little bit. The scissors that I'm using are by friend Stamper's Journey. They are the Grand Pro shears. These are phenomenal. Now, the blade, it's a nice long blade. It's not as long. I think it's like an 8-inch blade, or that's how they're measured from each end, instead of the 9.5. But the great thing is they are non-stick, and trust me, they are non-stick. They have a great Teflon coating. So now I'm just cutting down more pieces because now I want that butterfly to stand up. But you know what? With just the frame and that piece, look at what that underneath that pattern paper created on that butterfly. It could have just stayed just like that. I then have the teacup, so I'm going to place that, and we're just going to have these pieces coming down. I fell in love with that bow. So just setting that off to the side. Again, adding some dimension. Even when you don't use double-sided foam, when you're just layering pieces like this, you're adding dimension, you're adding a texture to the front of the cards. Remember, and I know I've said this before, but I'll always remind everybody, the beauty of a kit, sometimes I get questions of, well, how did you know all of that was going to go together? How do you choose your colors when it comes to this? When it comes to kits are beautifully designed because it doesn't matter what you use in the kit and how you put it onto your card, it's going to match. Kits are designed and built. Same thing with paper pads. They are designed and built to coordinate, especially a paper pad. So it doesn't matter what paper you put together, it's going to match. Even the solid cardstock, that's part of the kit. If it's part of the kit, they're going to match. You can actually just layer anything that you're looking for. It's the beauty of a kit's design. Okay, so in the Spellbinders, the one that we're using here, you get cardstock, you get a paper pad, you get gems, die cuts, stickers. It's all put together to coordinate so that you can, and they get you started with 10 card bases. Now, this kit, you can get so many more than 10 cards done, but just keep that in mind. And again, I get that question a lot, well, how did you know? When I'm working with a kit, it's the beautiful thing. You don't have to think. You can just have fun layering or creating anything that you're looking to create, to put through, because they have done all of the thought process when it comes to what will go with what. This kit is an excellent value when it comes to the Spellbinders card kit. In every die pack or die cut pack so far that I have seen, they give you these beautiful florals, and I always try to use those florals. I grabbed the piece of pattern paper. Yeah, we're going to go back to the thing. I gabbed there a little bit. I grabbed the mixed media looking pattern paper background, and I'm using the solid gray as a frame for that to really make these images pop. Now, you can see, got that vintage photo there. Oh, yeah. Yes. Just a little bit. Just a smudge, maybe. Again, the vintage photo goes with any color. All right. At least, and again, these are my opinions. You can put it with pinks, you can put it with robin's eggs blue or light blue or aqua, any color, green, whatever it is, you can put it there. And what it does is it gives it a depth. It gives it shading. So with all of the light colored background that I had, just adding just a little bit of the vintage photo to some of the flowers helped to segregate them, helped them to come up off of this page. I did use my scissors to trim around the gray panel so that everything would be even. And now I'm going to use the double-sided tape just to put that up onto my card base. Vintage photo for me is a staple. It must be with me. A lot of times we see those questions. If you had to choose one item that you could not do without, I think it would be my vintage photo. It's like a close tie between my vintage photo and my iridescent sequins. They're just a staple for me. For me, they are the two main embellishments, or accents, or whatever you want to call them. For me, it's funny. For me, it's funny. You try all these new things, and I just keep going back to the basics. It's, that for me is what works. It's loyal. It doesn't fail me. Right? You all out there say the same thing. So here I have this beautiful piece of pattern paper again. But again, I did want to use the gray. I love using gray, black, ivory, those neutral colors, brown. They do a great job when you're creating frames and when it comes to certain colors. When I work with true brights, the brights of a rainbow, the red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, add an aqua in there. We got to add that other color in there. I love to use black because it helps it to stand out. When the colors are bright but they're soft, like watercolor effects, I like to use gray. When they're earthy, now earthy means it's a lot of florals, you're seeing a lot of greens, a lot of leaves, a lot of stems. I'll use a brown or an ivory. So again, I let my eyes tell me, no, doesn't look good, or yes, that works. Your eyes are never going to fail when it comes to that. And your inspiration, your idea is not going to fail. If you don't think it looks right, try something else. Just always remember to keep going. There's so many times, I know, I'm gabbing. I know. But you can see what I'm doing. I'm collaging in front of you. I hear so many times, oh, I had to throw this away. It just wasn't going the way that I wanted. Don't throw it away. It may take you 2 hours to get from the starting point to the end point of a card, but you just never know what you're going to get. Keep going. If you have to let the layers dry, let the layers dry. If you have to bring in some white acrylic paint or white gesso or something like that to go over it to tone it down, do that. Just because card making is primarily paper and ink, because that's what we know, doesn't mean we can't add other elements to it. Paper is wonderful. You've all heard me say this before. If you've been here before, paper is an awesome medium. It is the best medium. We can paint it, we can ink it, we can scratch it, we can tear it, we can crumble it, we can rip it, we can toss it, not in the trash. We can strip it. No pun intended there. We can ink it, we can watercolor it, we can ink smush it, we can use markers, we can use pens. There is so much that we can do just to the concept of paper. We can change it. We can change a piece of white paper and make it black. We can take a piece of white paper and distress it. We can take a piece of black paper and add things to it to distress it, to change that composition of it. That's the beauty of it. That is the beauty of paper. It doesn't take much for it to be altered. It doesn't take much for it to be changed. But we can do that. And that's why I just enjoy it. Don't get me wrong, I love all crafts. I used to quilt. And I like to say I used to sew. I still do sew. You know, there are still some items that I have that will be in my Etsy shop and on my website, but just a couple, just a few. So I just sew. And even when I did quilt, I still said I just sew because I gave it to my artist to quilt the layers together. I did not do that. I couldn't. I had done it for a while, but I had actually pulled out the shoulder. So moving those quilts was getting to be impossible. And it finally did. And then through something else that happened, I just couldn't do it anymore. So I do love all crafts, but paper, for some reason, just pulls me in. And look at the different things we can do it. We can keep layering it. We can prop it up. And that's the beauty of kits. That's the beauty of our inspiration. Is it an extremely addicting hobby? Oh, yes it is. Absolutely. I say all the time I got sucked in. And that's not against the company or somebody else showing. It just, yeah, I've got to have that. And we all suffer from that. But again, we don't have to have everything to create beautiful cards. The other beauty of this kit is the fact that it is a stash builder, because you get a full 6x6 paper pad. You're not getting half of it, a quarter of it, or anything like that. You're getting the entire pad. So you're going to have extra paper. You're going to have extra stickers, extra die cut pieces. So you can just keep on creating, and you can build up your stash simply from this kit. And that's the beauty of it as well. Excuse me. I have had a tickle in my throat for all day today. So that's the beauty when it comes to this. In this card here, and as we go back, and I'll stop gabbing, in this card here, I actually used one of the dies, and I'm using the panel die that came with this. Now, the beauty of the dies, too, you also get those florals where you could add to this vine and make it so dimensional when it comes to this design. So I just added it on top of the stripes just to have that gold border out of the mirror cardstock. And again, I let the paper do the work. Pattern paper is beautiful to do that. It gives you so many options of where it can go and what you can create with it. It's absolutely wonderful. Now for this one, I did do my coloring offline. Again, we're making 10 cards from the one kit, so just to save time. Now I have a panel there where I stamped my sentiment, "You are not alone." And I'm going to place that down. I've already layered some of my pattern paper here. And then I did use a piece of paper from my stash. It was a scrap piece of my Strathmore Mixed Media Toned Blue. And I did all of that in colored pencils. I used my Prismacolors to do that coloring. That is my favorite paper to use with colored pencils. It's got great tooth to fill, and it blends. My Prismacolors, they blend beautifully on that. I think all colored pencils do. So I'm going to set that, and I prop that up using the double-sided foam tape. I'm going to use the double-sided tape, as always, to put this down onto the standard A2 size card base. And then our card will be completed. Yes, I just took a sip of my coffee, if you heard that. So I do hope you enjoyed the 10 cards that we created using the Spellbinders card kit of the month for March of 2021. And again, it is called Celebrate Spring. And yes, I am ready for spring to be here. You know, it's amazing. Today, I'm in a rambling mood today. I'm so sorry. Today I looked out, it was cloudy, it was flurrying. I had small flurries going on here. Now I look out of my window here as I'm doing this voiceover, and the sun is out and the sky is going clear. The weather is wacky, but I'm glad the sun's coming out. Again, I do hope I gave you some ideas. As always, if you are interested in this subscription and you want to know more, I will have the links down below, along with a link to their blog, their inspiration gallery, because there is so much out there. And of course, their shop, their online shop. So feel free to have some fun. If you have any questions, make sure you leave those down below, and I will make sure I get back to you as soon as I can. The next video that you're going to see with Spellbinders, I'm actually going to combine a few things. Combine two kits together. So that is going to be fun. So stay tuned for that video, and that will be airing shortly. Remember, everyone, smile, laugh, enjoy. Make sure you enjoy. But most of all, always be creative. Have fun. Till next time, guys.